Have you lost any personal friendships because of ideological issues?
No, not real friendships.
Okay, good.
Maybe acquaintances.
Okay.
But that was okay. Those are good if you can clean those up.
Because
Those
exactly.
are good. Yeah, you find out who's really your friend. You know, even people that I like vehemently disagreed with about certain policies that were in place during the pandemic.
Yeah.
They're still my friends.
Right.
We can have disagreements. I know who the core of you is. And people think about things differently. We're free to think about things differently. Some people are free to have a perspective that I don't agree with. It's like, and you might be able to back it up with some facts.
Yeah.
You might be able to, or you might be intolerant to the other opposition views because some of them are full of shit. Maybe that's true too. There's a lot going on, but it's very hard for people to, especially in times of crisis, like during the pandemic, you kind of found out how human beings are very malleable and very quick to pick a narrative that they support, and especially if that narrative offers a promise of going back to normal. You know, and that was what was weird about that. It was like, this is a psychological, like, test study. If you wanted to do a test study of how a population, even a supposedly free population, free thinking, freedom of expression, freedom of speech is literally in the doctrine that we run the law by. And to have people willing to throw that away quickly under something that wasn't even, we're not talking about a nuclear war, but we're talking about something that's like relatively, in terms of the amount of people that die every year, it's not good. It certainly wasn't a good thing to happen to anybody.
99.7% survival rate?
Yeah. And, yeah. I mean, again, it's not a good thing, right? It's not good to get any kind of cold, any kind of disease, any kind of, like, illness. It's not good. But there's a lot of shit that's killing people also. And there's almost no effort to stop that. Like, there's no effort to stop the comorbidities that caused a lot of the problems that a lot of those people that didn't survive had. There's no effort to stop that in terms of like what we understand about health and wellness and promoting that.
You're referring to obesity largely.
Yeah, not just obesity, but like malnutrition, vitamin deficiencies. Like so many people are eating, but they're malnourished.
Sure.
It's a giant portion of our population that is not getting the proper nutrients every day. And there's a host of diseases that come along with that.
Yeah.
And it's just not being discussed. I mean, it's not like the epidemic that it really is. It's not being discussed like the epidemic that it really is.
Do you think that a lot of the governmental policies that were instituted stem from the fog of war during the pandemic, and so it was driven by ignorance, or are you of the view that there is kind of a Dr. Evil, nefarious thing behind this whole thing?
I am very reluctant to go with the Dr. Evil narrative. I think there's certainly people that you would consider evil that will take advantage when things happen. But do I think that like they released the pandemic on purpose? No. There's like pretty clear evidence that people working in the lab got sick and that those people spread it.
No, but let's say the ad hoc policies that they would come up with. You could only be 4 people on a boat. You can do this. You can't do that. My feeling is, I don't have any proof of it. It's just I'm speculating, is that a lot of it really came from the fog of war. People were, and I'm not trying to be charitable, but I think that most people were well-meaning. They didn't know what the hell they're talking about. They didn't exhibit any epistemic humility, right? They made it seem as though they knew what they're talking about, but they were trying their best. I don't think there was kind of this grand conspiracy where this is our chance to take over the freedoms that people still, adhere to.
I would be more inclined to believe with what you're saying.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I think it's many factors, and I think when we want to look at like why people did what they did, we try to look at it one way or another. But I think there's many, many things going on. And also, for sure, governments that are really good at crafting laws that allow them to gain power, and they've done that with all the bills that they passed after 9/11, the Patriot Act, the Patriot Act 2, the NDAA, all that crazy shit. Whenever something happens, they find new ways to control, and they do it because it's an opportunity. It's an opportunity to pass laws that people were reluctant to pass before. It happens. Yeah, happens all the time. It's normal That's their job. That's what they do. What they do is they're in control. They're in power. Like, that's the game that they're playing. The game that you're playing is, I want to keep my freedom.
Right.
And like, we have to figure out a way to like establish like real clear rules to how this game works.
Yeah.
Because if you could just cheat and lie and then delete things off social media and have a bunch of bots saying a bunch of shit to stir people up, and you're literally funding this.
Yeah.
Like, who's doing that? How many of them are coming from America itself, and how many of them are coming from foreign agents who are trying to disrupt American politics and trying to disrupt American narratives? I wonder like, what is the ratio of shit posting, like people that are like, what would you call it? Bot posting. What's the level of disingenuous, non-human, non-real person posting?
As relating to COVID or anything?
But anything. I think it's all the social things that are coming up right now. Anything. You see a lot of these wacky fake accounts. Like, I wonder how many of them are. There was an FBI analyst that said that he believed there's somewhere around 80. What did he say? 80%? He said 80%. 80% of Twitter's users are bots. It could be as high as 80%.
Wow.
That's what?
That's crazy.
What?
Yeah.
Can you imagine Twitter just becomes bots arguing with bots, and they finally realize like no one's on it?
But have you felt that your experience with Twitter has radically changed as a function of the pre and post Elon Musk coming in, or hasn't changed much?
You feel more free.
Yeah.
Like, you can
mind,
post things that are controversial and not worry about, having your account limited.
Yeah.
Because if you were posting things about, like, first of all, there's things you couldn't post. Like, you could not post a story about the Hunter Biden laptop. You couldn't even send it to me in a DM.
Yeah.
There were certain things I tried to send people in DMs, and they wouldn't allow me to send them.
That's amazing.
I was like, this is wild. Yeah. This is weird. It's just confusing. It's like, why would you think this is a good idea?
Well, I remember I had been contacted by, I don't know if you've had him on the show. Do you know who Matt Ridley is?
Matt Ridley. Why do I know that name?
He's an evolutionary biologist. He was in the House of Lords in Britain. He's been on my show a few times. He wrote a book a few years ago with a co-author, I can't remember her name, where they were arguing for the lab leak theory. And when his people had reached out to me to come on the show, I very frankly said, look, I'm someone who very much speaks my mind. I don't care, but let's be pragmatic about this. If you come on my show and we spend an hour and a half chatting, it's going to be taken down. This was at the time when YouTube did not allow that. And I've always kind of struggled with that decision, because I was being pragmatic and saying, look, we're just going to waste our time.